Well, hello. In the words of my brother Tyro, hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to another episode of Parent Power Outer with TDP and Tyrone. Showstopper, maybe. Number one showstopper, maybe. Probably number one or number two. Welcome back today, President Brown from the Baltimore Teachers Union, illustrious, revolutionary president that has assumed the mantle to lead this next generation of educators. We want to welcome her back to the program. We have a lot of people have been asking questions about what's going on exactly, not only with the union, but the state of the buildings, all kinds of questions. And so we're very happy to have the most knowledgeable person to answer those questions back, President Brown of the BTU. But family, we're going to start with our connection question. That is, what is your favorite article of clothing? What is your favorite article of clothing? And we're going to ask our guest, President Brown, first to answer. Then I'll go. Then as after me, Brother Tyrone. President Brown, what do you say?
My favorite article of clothing is blazers, a duster, a jacket. I feel like it makes outfits can make outfits more stylish, can make outfits more transitional. You can put on a blazer and go from being casual to business casual. And also I especially like blazers with pockets because it creates additional storage space.
Hey, beautiful. And very stylish. We don't say that very much, do we, Brother Tyrone? But yes, President Brown always so stylish when she appears. The second time for her appearance, every time I've seen her, just stylish. For me, it is the light jean shirt, the light denim shirt. It is just a versatile piece. Very similar to the blazer. You can dress it up, you can dress it down. You can almost wear it with almost any kind of pant. This is, gives it a rugged look. Sometimes you can make it look suave, so that's me. And, I'm kind of surprised, family, because I asked this question to Brother Tyrone and he just kind of, he had his face like it was going to be easy. And if y'all know Brother Tyrone, this man is stylish. So I'm dying to hear not only the favorite article of clothing, but why he just, sloughed off my question. I thought he was going to say, oh, it's going to be hard, man. Why you ask me this one? Brother Ty?
Yeah, William is funny. No, but mine's actually, so with an outfit, my favorite piece is the shoe. I base everything that I wear off of my shoe. All right. But since we did say clothing, I would have to go with the top, like in shirt, sweater, anything, just that top. I think that's the piece that catch every, that pulls everything together. Like Diamond said, the blazer, a jacket, whatever it is, just that top piece is what it is. I mean, you can have on like a very common outfit, shirt and jeans, but if you put on a nasty blazer or like a thing, it pulls it together. But yeah, my favorite thing is shoes though. Like that's the game changer. It's the feet. It's the feet.
All right, family, be sure that you enter in your favorite article of clothing or shoe in the feed, please, as Brother Tyrone will read those for us later. We're going to ask right away, in light of just some context here, President Brown, just in our state, 1,375 new infections, unfortunately, due to coronavirus, 700 new hospitalizations in the state of Maryland due to coronavirus. And it sounds like Maryland is up to 5%, 6%. That was the magical number that the governor was trying to stay under. But we have now reached past the 5% threshold in the state. In light of that, everybody wants to know about teachers and scholars going back. So my question, what is the current status of teachers returning into school buildings?
Unfortunately, the current status is that still some teachers, as well as related service providers, non-instructional para educators, and as well as instructional para educators that work with certain populations of students which include students with special needs, pre-kindergarten, kindergarten, LREC, ninth grade, sixth grade, CTE students, possibly. Many staff members are being directed, meaning that they don't have a choice but to return. There are at least 400 staff members being directed to return, and among them are teachers, as well as the other staff members that I just stated. And all of these staff members, even staff members beyond the Baltimore Teachers Union, which are inclusive of the custodians in Local 44, the cafeteria supervisors, the SLC supervisors from Rec and Parks, which are in City Union of Baltimore, the health aides, which are in Local 44, the nursing staff, which are in Local 558. All staff members continue to feel that we need to delay any in-person return to school because the district continues to show that they are ill-equipped to carry out with any in-person return to buildings at this time.
Thank you, President Brown. If I could follow up, we had Chief of Schools a couple of weeks ago on our show, and he was saying that the teachers that were going back into some of the learning centers and some of the schools that were opening, those teachers, and correct me if I'm wrong, Tyrone, volunteered in large part to go back. What is your response to that? We could not fathom that here when we spoke about his response. What's your response to that? Is how accurate is that, I guess, is my question.
The student learning centers are staffed primarily by bus transportation aides and Rec and Park staff. The Rec and Park staff serve as the supervisors of the student learning center, and the bus transportation aides, which are Baltimore Teacher Union members, are serving as they're considered, I think, proctors for the student learning centers. The bus transportation aides were forced, directed, compelled, whatever term you like to use, to go into the student learning centers. They did not volunteer. As far as I know, there aren't teachers teaching at the student learning centers. The student learning centers are places where students go to get support in virtual learning. So the staff members there are there to support students primarily with technical assistance, which many of the staff members there, well, I wouldn't say many. I can speak for my members. Many of my members have reported that they feel ill-equipped to carry out such a service. The district felt that because bus transportation aides assist students on the school buses, that those skills transferred to assisting students in technology. One of the things that I can say about my membership is that bus transportation aides are in my PSRP chapter, and unfortunately, many of our bus transportation aides don't get the pay that they deserve. And we all know that there's a digital divide when it comes to class and money. And many of the members of my PSRP chapter often help us remember that there is a digital divide and that many people don't understand how to use technology. And that's true even within the Baltimore Teachers Union membership. And so the bus transportation aides were forced and directed to be the proctors to help students with technology, but some of them don't feel like they had the training or necessary experience to do that. However, they were not asked. As I said, they were directed. I'm not familiar with volunteers at the student learning centers. There are some other school buildings that are open. Some separate day schools are open. Separate day schools are schools that serve our students with the highest needs. Some examples include Bear, Claremont, George McMeekin. Those are some. Initially, there were staff members that volunteered to deliver services at those separate days, public day schools. And then the district directed staff members on top of those volunteers to go back into buildings. There are some volunteers that do have an issue with the direction of staff going back into buildings, because these volunteers volunteered because they felt safe at the time due to the minimum amount of people in the building. Now that the district is directing all of these additional people to come into the building, many of our volunteers feel less safe or feel less safe than they did when they initially volunteered to deliver in-person learning.
Okay, thank you for the clarity. That is not the understanding that we got from Chief Davis when he came on our show. Tyrone, did you have anything already? Are people popping in?
So one thing is, first, of course, y'all welcome. Welcome everybody, all viewers. Joanne, we know you're here. Thank you for saying it. Michael, Elena, Michelle, Mabel, Amanda. Thank you all for being here. Yaji. And one thing that come up, say hello TDP family. A lot of teachers were voluntold to go back and not volunteered to go back. Favorite article of clothing is an old pair of jeans that used to belong to her mom. That said, I'll let you go ahead and get into it more with President Brown. But you all continue to share the live, make your comments and ask questions, please, in the comments as I mosey through our other groups. Let you keep chatting with her. I'll move through our other groups and get the questions.
Thank you, Brother Tyrone. And whoever that was, thank you for sharing your article of clothing. Appreciate you and your input. President Brown, another thing that's haunted our students and our parents, probably truly for time immemorial, if I could say it that way, is the condition of the buildings. Has the union made any progress with trying to hold the district accountable to the health condition of the buildings themselves?
Yes, well, we have done several things around conditions of buildings, but before I get into that, I want to clarify two things. One, I want to be clear that the Baltimore Teachers Union does not agree with the bus transportation aides being directed to go into buildings, just like we don't agree with any of our members being directed to go into buildings because of the safety measures and protocols not being implemented properly, and also the health and safety guide to our knowledge or to our standards not being complete. Also, I want to speak to people being voluntold, because that is a serious issue within Baltimore City public school staff. Some examples of people being voluntold are principals threatening to write teachers out of their budget or to transfer them to another school. Some people have been threatened that they will be given different duties. And so voluntold is really serious. There is a culture of fear and retaliation in our school system. And so a lot of times the staff members do not speak up about negative behavior that's coming from administrators or district leadership, in fear that somehow their evaluation will be negatively impacted. They'll be transferred to another school. or somehow their position will be written out of the budget. Now, the Baltimore Teachers Union is going to make certain we fight for any of our members that are being retaliated against by any administrator or district leader in Baltimore City Public Schools. However, that doesn't change the fact that the culture exists, which prohibits and inhibits people from feeling like they can communicate with the public the necessary information. And so I would urge the public to continue to reach out to frontline staff when asking about conditions of buildings, because that additional reach out may give them the courage they need to let you know what's going on the ground. We have to acknowledge that district leaders and administrators do have a privilege when it comes to communicating information. They have less consequences for communicating information. And so there is an imbalance between our school board commissioners, district leadership, and administrators communicating information, and frontline staff, the people that actually have to carry out the plans, communicating information. And as far as the condition of buildings, you know, it's no secret that our buildings are not in respectable conditions for our students to learn in. I would like to acknowledge that we do have some buildings that have been upgraded. Unfortunately, many of them have been upgraded to still represent prisons, but nonetheless, they have been upgraded. And we hope that our district will continue to upgrade buildings, which with much more thought in mind than they have in the past. However, we do have a sense of urgency at this point to fix some of the most pressing issues in our buildings, which include, but definitely is not limited to, things like ventilation. We have asked the district for ventilation assessments, which the Maryland State Department of Education, as well as several other entities, think should be one of the things that happen before sending people back into buildings. Unfortunately, we have yet to receive that information. The district continues to claim that assessments have been done. We continue to ask for the information. And since we have yet to get the information, we recently filed information request, an MPI, a Maryland Public Information Access request. And when you do a request like that, the agency has 30 days to get back to you. So unfortunately, getting that information may take longer than we expected. And hopefully people see this is another example of the district's lack of transparency, and why staff members of Baltimore City Public Schools continue to urge people to think twice before sending their precious ones in the school buildings when we continue to have gaps in information.
Thank you, President Brown. It's personally good to hear you say that. We've discussed many times here on this show how the CDC and other entities, including some of our nation's most prestigious law schools, have been fighting CDC, not CDC. CDC has made recommendations that HVAC systems be at the very least assessed, if not updated or outright replaced. We have not heard that from the district. However, we do hear from other entities around this country, and what's good for other entities around this country is certainly good enough for our students. Before I go on, Tyrone, any feedback, comments, questions from our family?
So of course, we got a lot of thank you, President Brown, for being here. Few of those, and thank you for mentioning that you fight for everyone that is attached to the union. That is amazing to know. We have one comment saying that they did not feel that type of connection nor that type of support from the previous leader. So thank you for that. And then how our teacher How are teachers' evals being affected? Are SLOs being modified?
From what I know, well, first, I want to go back to the ventilation, because it's important for people to understand the district's narrative versus the union's narrative and the staff members' narrative. So what the district continues to state is that the way they're going to keep people safe is to upgrade the filters to MERV 13 filters. If there are any buildings that cannot accommodate MERV 13 filters, like buildings that don't have windows that open, then those buildings will get air purifiers. Our questions remain to be, when will that happen? And we don't have an answer to that. However, we do have a start date for people going into buildings and a start date for people being directed to go into buildings. And so what we're trying to explain to people is, just because the district states that they're going to do something, it's important that we ask follow-up questions like, okay, did that happen? When is it going to happen? And if it hasn't happened yet, why? What makes you think that this building or this space is safe for people to be in? And when it comes to SLO, the only thing that I know that has been modified as far as SLO is that there has been an extension for submission. I don't know the exact date off the top of my head. Unfortunately, I don't think anything else has changed about SLO. Which is unfortunate. You know, I would argue that there should be no evaluations this school year. This is completely abnormal. And instead of us focusing on making things better and improving things and learning new things, we continue to focus on assessing people and evaluating people based on artificial standardized tests and scores and things like that. So unfortunately, I do not have anything great to report on SLOs. I will say that we were able to get on-off, a pilot of on-off cycles this school year for some educators. I won't go into all the details because I don't have all the details in front of me, but you can visit the Baltimore Teachers Union website. That website is baltimoreteachers.org. It will outline for you if you're eligible to opt in for an on-off cycle. What I can tell you is soon your administrators, as well as you, will get, you'll be notified that you are eligible to opt into an off cycle of evaluations for this school year. And just so that the general public knows, that is helpful to some of our members, because many of our members are evaluated on a system called the Teacher Employee Evaluation System. And that system is tied to our pay. And so when you get evaluated, you get achievement units attached to your evaluation. And an effective evaluation gives you 9 achievement units. A highly effective evaluation gives you 12 achievement units. People on this evaluation system need 12 achievement units to move an interval, meaning move in pay. And so, as you can imagine, most people on this evaluation scale are seeking to get a highly effective evaluation or to maintain a highly effective evaluation so that they can continue to increase their pay. The unfortunate part is that this does not include all of our members because some of our members aren't on this on the same type of evaluation system, and it'll take a lot more for us to fight for them to have access to on-off cycles. But as I always say, we will fight for all members, but we also don't want to ignore the small wins that we are getting for some of our members.
Gotcha. Comment from Twala. I wish there was a way to evaluate the district leaders, like SLOs and other performance measures tied to their pay. And then just in from The Baltimore Sun just posted an article that Maryland schools begin rolling back in-person learning plans as coronavirus cases rise. Baltimore City school officials said they are now looking at the system's plan to move forward with reopening for in-person instructions in 44 schools scheduled for next week. And let's scroll down. We will actually post. I'm going to post this link in the comments. You can check it. It also said that the districts continues to closely monitor the data related to COVID-19 as we determine the next steps for our students, staff, and families, said Andre Rowley, who's a spokesman for the city schools. These actions came as coronavirus cases rose dramatically in the state over the past month. On Monday, the statewide positivity test rate rose above 5% for the first time since June. And the state average for new cases per 100,000 people have climbed to a level where the state guidelines, y'all, we posting it, but I don't know why my computer's acting a little weird. Okay, where state guidelines recommend limited or no in-person programs. Just to this point, really, really quick, and I do have another comment I want to go to. Like, this is interesting to me. Again, we got President Brown here representing teachers. Me as a parent, we've had people come on week after week after week after week. We still saying not safe, not safe. People are still pushing out there, like not do this. And instead of trying to figure out how to make in-person work, because we've not even experienced COVID during the fall season, right? And to me, that stuff was ignored. You understand what I'm saying? Like, it was ignored when we wouldn't be here right now. You know what I mean? Like, this shouldn't even be a topic. It should not have been that much energy put into trying to open stuff when you had so many people that's affected by it. Saying, I've not seen district workers come back to work inside the office yet. You know what I mean? You all are still out. So how in the world, downward facing dog, how in the world would you know what I mean, even be thinking about that? Like, it frustrates me, you know what I'm saying? Because I know, for me, I actually got to talk to a parent early and a student who was a bit excited, thinking that they were going back to school, still nervous, but now scared out their mind because they just recently and last week lost a relative to the virus. You know what I mean? And it's just like so mind-boggling that like this is hit. And with the increase, it's just crazy. But I'm gonna shut up myself and I'm gonna go back to the comments. Y'all, there is a Baltimore City school board meeting tomorrow evening at 5. What can we non-educators do to put pressure on North Avenue? Should we do phone banks, boots on the grounds, etc.? So, I don't know if you want to speak to that, Ms. Brown, if you have any ideas, or whatever like that people who are non-educators should be doing. And then, of course, we have other people in here, again, agreeing that numbers are getting higher every day. We go through this month, and this shouldn't even be part of, shouldn't have been part of a talk. It's been not safe before now. Even when numbers were lower than 5, it still wasn't safe. Thank you, Tyrone. We need parents to fight for us and for our children. Of course, Erica, and thank you for being an educator, and being out there, and working. But anyway, I'm sorry. Yeah, Ms. Brown, if you have anything else to add to that other folks can do, or that you think we should be doing right now.
Yeah, I want to start off with the evaluation for district leaders. I do agree that, I agree that any system should be assessed for the purposes of making it better, or continuing whatever practices are working. And so it would be great if we did more assessments of our leaders and some way, although we don't have a formal sheet that everyone can fill out and all of those types of things. We do have 2 spaces where people can give an assessment of district leaders. One place is at public comment during school board meetings. You can comment on the how you feel district leaders are doing in a public comment, and talk about how you think they're doing as it regards to reopening schools when they come up with these plans. Another way you can have more power in assessing district leaders is to run for the school board, which is accepting applications right now. I believe there are 2 positions open on the school board, and a part of the school board's responsibilities is to govern district leaders. And so, if you're on a school board, you have that is another way that you can assess district leaders. And as far as data monitoring and assessments of the positivity rates and how the district is handling that, we continue to ask the district, what is the reassessment process? The district tells the public that if the positivity rates, I believe, increases by 2% within a certain time frame, what I'm talking about is according to the chart that the district shows. I believe it's from the Maryland Health Department. And so that last line, if you're familiar with this chart I'm talking about, talks about a reassessment. The district says that they're going to reassess, but when we ask them, what does the reassessment entail? That information they have yet to come forth with. And so we're still waiting for what a reassessment actually entails. When we ask the district outright if they've reassessed the situation since rolling out their plans to partially reopen buildings, they said yes. And the result of that reassessment was that they continue moving forward. And so I would say what we need is for the public to give, like I said earlier, more comment at the board meetings. There's also a board forum coming up on November 12th. It can be more impactful to give public comment at the board forum than it could be the board meeting, because at the board forum, I believe that public comment is unlimited. At board meetings, there can only be 10 people signed up for public comment. And so I urge everyone to sign up for public comment and for comment at the board meeting and the forum. It's important, though, that when you give public comment, that your message is clear. What we're asking you to stand with us on is asking for a delay in any in-person return to buildings, period. At least for the first semester. We're asking for a fully virtual first start. We understand all of we understand the reasoning that the school district is given for us putting small populations of people in buildings. We don't agree. So when people do give public comment, we're asking you to be very clear. That's what we're asking for the CEO to stop putting people in buildings and slow down putting people in buildings, and or for the school board to exercise their authority, because they could call for a vote. I mean, they could call her and say, hey, Dr. Santelises, we don't think this is a good idea. They could at least publicly state, hey, this is her decision. I'm not with it. I don't think this is a good idea. Any of those, I mean, we need something. I mean, right now we feel like people are just kind of, several decision makers are just kind of standing by watching it happen while, we continue to advocate. And they continue to say that they're listening to the directly impacted, but we don't feel like, we don't need people to just listen. We want people to actually take what we're saying into consideration. Right. And I would also, once again, say, if Dr. Santelises, call her and talk to her personally and ask her, can you delay this? And I think another thing that the public can do is to help provide any support or resources needed for those same families that we're asking to stay out of school buildings, because people's backs are against the wall, and we want to make certain that while we're asking families to keep their children out of school buildings, because we know that is the safest way to keep them out of harm's way, that we also need to accommodate their needs. And we know that many of our parents, when their choices, they feel like their choices are limited. They may not have someone at home to support their child during a full day of virtual learning. Therefore, they'd rather send, they might not rather, but they feel like they need to send their student to a SLC where they can get that support. So if we don't want them to send them there, we need to give them an alternative. I know there are some community members and pastors that have opened up their churches, a small space in their church, to allow students to come there for virtual learning because they feel like their church is equipped to handle 5 or 6 students and asking for school supplies, and they can support those students during the school day on the computer. There are one of the other groups that the district continues to say they're supporting are students that are homeless. The district feels like that students that are homeless have a much more difficult time accessing technology, so they have a harder time engaging. And so if this is true, and we don't want homeless students once again in unsafe conditions, then we need to make certain that we have other ways for our students that are homeless to access technology. We also probably want to put more energy behind making certain they have a whole home, because that is the real solution. And if we really want to meet the needs of our homeless students, then we should probably be working with housing advocates and people that are homeless to figure out what are the things that they need in addition to homes, like stopping evictions, and better housing conditions, because some people end up homeless because they'd rather be on the street than being in housing conditions that are laid out in front of them. We want people to advocate with special needs advocates. One of the other groups that the district says that they want to support are students with special needs. However, we know that special education has been underfunded for decades. So we really want to support students with special needs. We all should be advocating for special education to be funded the way it's supposed to be funded. Because even if we put students in school buildings with the abundant amount of historic underfunding we have, we still won't be able to meet the needs of students with special needs. So, I think that we just need to work together and create alternative solutions and disallow people to limit the solutions to challenges with virtual learning to putting people in unsafe spaces. And if that is the only solution, then we need to be urging people to give us the resources, staff members necessary to pull it off. Right now, what's happening is people are asking educators, support staff, and other Baltimore City public school members to go back into school buildings, but are not reassuring us that there will be any additional resources to accommodate our safety. And when we say reassuring, we don't mean the health and safety guide. We mean the things in the health and safety guide actually being executed. And since the health and safety guide has came out, the safety measures and protocols in it have proven to not be executed per my members, Local 44 members, Local 558 members, CUB members. So, we're asking the community to stand with us in all of those different ways that I laid out.
Got you. Thank you for that. We had a they get to rolling after a while, y'all. So we got a few of the comments. I want to run through a couple of the ones that do got a couple of likes and agreements. Mabel says, why do we have to stay when our students have left instead of go home and finish our work? This is coming from a teacher, Harrison. I think we keep forgetting that we can't work or go to school if we lose our lives to COVID-19, or even how the trauma of losing a parent or grandparent would impact the children to a point where they cannot even focus or learn. Also, I want to make mention, I'm going to pin the comment on our page. Thank you, Mike, for sharing this. You can use this website to contact the school board and get involved in other ways as well. So we have that comment. We're going to have that pinned on the page as well. Yaji, I will make sure I keep asking about reassessments on tomorrow. It's just not safe in some of these school buildings, all the masks and hand soaps and towels, etc. But it is not safe in the school buildings. Wow, you are hitting on so many spots, President Brown. Thank you. Years special needs don't have the money for them. Thank you, Madam Brown, for being here and dispensing real answers and suggestions on how we can help. We are behind you. We are pinned. So I, wanted to go through and read that. Of course, always as last time, Brown, you are just a daggone winner. People love you and respect what you bring. And I appreciate it, and they definitely appreciate when we get direct answers. Thank you. I seen the comment where y'all said I could say what the hell, but I try not to do that. But catch me on Thursday. I'll say it. Back to you, Brother William.
I don't know who that was trying to tempt you, Tyrone, but y'all know that's why he says downward facing dog. He's trying to remain as professional. The man is bursting at the seams with all these injustices. Why are you trying to tempt this brother? President Brown, you mentioned HVAC besides that as an example of buildings and environment being safe to go back if and when we do go back, the young people, of course, and the teachers. What are some of the other things that you also just mentioned? It's not just having the checklist, but it's having those protocols actually followed. Can you give our family members and audience exactly what it is BTU would feel comfortable in having its members going back in place?
Yes. One thing I want to say to the staff member that asked about why do they have to stay after students leave is I don't have a good answer for you. If I was making that decision, I would not have made that decision. First of all, I wouldn't have asked you to go back into the buildings in the first place. What I can say is what I think. And what I think is that our district does not trust our staff members, and our district wants to have their finger on staff members, and our district feels like it's easier to monitor staff members' work if they are physically present. Unfortunately, despite the abundant amount of hours that educators put into working for Baltimore City Public Schools, somehow our work ethic continues to be questioned and attacked. And so I would say that the whole idea of having one, us come in the buildings at all, and two, you stay in the buildings after a student leaves is really about the district's micromanagement and distrust of its staff, unfortunately. And then to address the shortfalls in the district's health and safety guide, in addition to ventilation, we have examples where PPE has yet to be given out. So in the health and safety guide, it states that all staff members that have to report back to buildings will get 2 cloth masks. I have members still reporting that they have only gotten 1 mask. And when they've asked their administrators, hey, where's our other mask? The administrators have also had a hard time getting them the mask. Now I've actually had a reporter, and I, at this point, I don't like to be general about things because I'm an English teacher. I think we should be direct. So Liz Bowie actually asked me the other day, well, can't y'all just get your own mask? And, I explained to Liz, like, first of all, that's an offensive question. To even say, first of all, you're asking us to put our life at risk. And then on top of that, you asking us, first of all, you asked us to provide our own classroom because we still haven't gotten the laptops. And in virtual learning, that's our classroom, a laptop. So the district hasn't even given us a classroom, or we had to provide that. We had to provide our own internet access. We had to get the supplies for the students and go to their houses and make certain they had them. And in addition to that, now people are saying, okay, also y'all need to provide your own protective equipment. I think that's absolutely insulting. And people should think twice about even asking questions like that, because I know people that work in all other industries where their employer makes certain that they have proper protective equipment. I've been to fast food establishments where they have the logo on the side of their mask and all of these other places. And people continue to talk about how important our children are and how much they love educators. But yet, when we ask for something as simple as our other cloth mask that was promised to us, the response we get is, well, can't you figure it out? Mm. And additionally, I've had a school secretary send me a picture of hand wipes that she keeps in the pencil box. And when I asked her, where did she get the hand wipes from? Did that come from the district? She said no. And then sent me another picture of the big box, like a bigger tote of hand wipes that was under a non-instructional paraeducator's desk, who so graciously decided to share with the school secretary. So these two staff members have figured out among themselves how to make certain they keep hand sanitizer wipes. Yet both of them were directed to go back into a building. Also, COVID cases are not being reported properly. We know a member specifically at Marie G. Faring that has COVID, and we've spoken to this member, and this member told us that the only thing that they were asked was if they were in contact with anybody for 15 minutes. And no other question was asked. And because they said no to that question, that was the extent of the questionnaire. Because that member did not feel comfortable with the way the district handled their report, that member took it upon themselves to tell their staff, their co-workers, that they had COVID and then they needed to get tested. And then in addition to positive COVID cases not being reported properly, we have, according to Local 558, the local that represents our nursing staff from the Baltimore City, from the health department, which pretty much staffs the nurses in the schools, say that on any given day, about 30% of the nursing staff is absent due to suspected COVID cases or COVID, as you can imagine, because these are the workers that are closest to people on an ongoing basis. And so we want to know, with that statistic, how does the district plan to compensate that or accommodate that? It's not okay to have 30% of the nursing staff gone on any given day. And what we've been told by the district is that some students have have nurse one-on-one nursing assistants, and in cases where a full-time nurse's health aide or nurse is absent, that maybe the assistant, maybe the one-on-one nursing assistant would help out, which is definitely a problem, because if you've ever worked in Baltimore City public schools, you know that oftentimes people that are supposed to be delivering one-on-one services to our students are asked to accommodate multiple students, which pretty much diminishes the services that they're supposed to be giving to their primary student, which is one-on-one services. And then lastly, I would say that we want a public reporting practice. We want the district to say, okay, this school has a suspected case. This school has a positive case. This is what we did to follow up. And that to be public so people can know what's going on in these buildings.
Thank you. I'm going to go right back to you, Roy. We are getting close to the time, but I will say too, because we got people saying it, and me to the reporter who asked you. I think you said her name was Liz. I don't remember the last name. Liz down with facing dog. Go ahead, brother Morgan. So that's some bull. That's really some bull. Chief Davis was here a couple of weeks ago, as William stated, and we asked about that for students. And the comment was made that aren't they going to have masks anyway because they need them traveling to school? But we will provide what we could. And I think it's like, go ahead, William. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, and I was going to piggyback because President Brown mentioned the nursing staff, and as you recall, Brother Tyrone, Chief Davis said that the nursing, he basically set the nurse staffing issue squarely in the lap of the health department. We had a question about that, or I believe a parent had a question about nurses. And he was just simply saying he wasn't quite sure, and that it went through, there you go, and that it went through, say it again, brother.
It just came back up. Yaji is talking about it right now, right now about that from with Chief Davis right here. Yep.
Exactly. Thank you, Yaji. I'm glad you can verify what I'm saying here. But President Brown, if we didn't know any better, we think that, well, the district has nothing to do with the nurses, and the health department staffs the nurses. And so that's something that they don't have any consideration for. So thank you for clarifying that. I want to pivot just slightly here on what are you hearing from teachers in terms of how virtual learning is going, in terms of screen time? Are the students getting what they need? How are the teachers feeling about virtual learning as it stands right now? We know we again having North Avenue staffers, upper echelon staffers. I can't recall the positions right now. Earlier in the year, they were pretty much saying that they were going to create a very similar time frame for a school day, only would be on in the virtual learning sphere, which we found very problematic. But how are teachers responding to you or reporting to you and your staff about virtual learning?
I want to clarify the nursing part. The nurses are provided by the health department, but we also have health aides that work alongside the nurses. Health aides are in Local 44, and they are Baltimore City Public School staff members. The actual nurse practitioners are provided by the health department. However, despite the fact that the nurses are divided by the health department, I think that Baltimore City Public Schools still has an obligation to work with the health department to make certain that they have enough nurses in their schools, even if there's this 30% absence rate. And, and if that's even an issue, then Baltimore City Public Schools needs to be working to have nurses that actually are employed by Baltimore City Public Schools, because nurses are important. And even outside of a pandemic, our students deserve to have school nurses at every school. And to learn more about these two classifications of workers, I have ongoing conversations with Miss Wendy Smith, who's the president of Local 558, and President Glenn Middleton, who is the president of Local 44, the custodial staff and the health aides. Now, as far as virtual learning, what many of our staff members want is for the district to put the same or more energy that they're putting into reopening buildings into virtual learning, because we strongly believe if they put that much energy into virtual learning, it could be a lot better. I just recently had a meeting with our clinicians that's inclusive of our workers like school psychologists, social workers, speech language pathologists. And what they want is they want an opportunity to provide alternatives and ways to improve services. They don't want the solution to just be, okay, now we put people in buildings. They think that they have some alternatives that they can provide, and they're working on those things. I also have some members that absolutely hate virtual learning and think that there is nothing that is going to make it better. And they truly want to just be in front of people. And you know, what I say to those members is what I say to all members. I give them the facts. I give them the information that I get from on the ground. And I ask them to make decisions about stepping into buildings based on that information.
Thank you, President Brown. About 4 minutes left, Brother Tyrone. Any more comments or questions?
We have a few of them. So we actually have one teacher that says here virtual learning is going well with good attendance. Also, that is a comment. Someone else commented about Chief Davis, that his words were inconsistent with what is actually happening, and thanked us for noticing those half truths and inconsistency. Someone else say, I think we need more help online because kids don't really understand why and what they have to do online. That could be the reality for some. I know, again, me personally, where it started out like a little rocky, it's been absolutely amazing for my kids now, you know, up until this point. Eddie Green says, what's up, Eddie? How are you? Says, it's our understanding that all BCPSS students have been issued a laptop. However, the issue now is replacements due to damage. Is this accurate? I don't know if someone else wants to answer that from a perspective. I have still heard from some parents that students have not received equipment from schools. But if you would like to answer to that, President Brown, of course, you know.
That's not true at all, that students do not all have laptops, which is one of the issues that many educators bring up when people talk about virtual learning not working. The first thing we want to know is, do they have equipment that they're supposed to have? Because of course, virtual learning is not going to work if you don't first have the equipment you're supposed to have. And even when we're not in a pandemic and we're not in virtual learning all the time, I think that it is important that all of our students have a one-to-one device. We continue to talk about our students having an academic achievement gap and being behind, but at the same time, we continue to be hesitant on providing our students the resources they're supposed to need. So here we are. I think it's now 8 months after the pandemic started, and we still haven't figured out a way to provide all our students with a device. Yet we've skipped into a whole nother solution to providing education during the pandemic, which is in-person learning. So, and I don't think it's wise to just stop in the middle of a solution that could possibly work, just because it's not easy and it's a challenge, and just go with the most convenient solution, which I think is what the district is trying to do. The district needs to provide every student with the laptop. Whatever shortfalls they have, they need to communicate those properly to the decision makers that can help them get the resources, and cease putting as much energy into in-person learning at this time. Get virtual learning together. That way, while virtual learning is operating smoothly or smoother, the district can be finalizing plans to later down the line, after at least the first semester, put people into school buildings.
Mm-hmm. Again, a lot of agreements. I agree with you, Madam Brown. Natalia, welcome. So yeah, we got that. I agree with you. I agree with you. I agree with you. We also need to address connectivity. Some students are going through hotspots too quickly with the platforms that we are using, and then may not be able to access classes towards the end of the month.
Yeah, and yeah, that's interesting, because hotspots have not been reissued, or they were issued one time, and I don't know what the numbers are in terms of the district. President Brown?
Last number I got was that they had ordered 10,000 hotspots. We have about, I think almost 80,000 students in our district. So it's definitely not enough hotspots. And as the person mentioned, even hotspots is probably not enough. At this point, the internet should be a public utility, but y'all know that's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, Tyrone, I'm listening to all these nuggets that President Brown is saying, you know, so eloquently. You forget their nuggets. But President Brown, we have this new symbol since last time you came on. When people drop nuggets, we just drop them in there like that. Final thoughts. We're over time, and President Brown, we want to respect your time. Give you the final thoughts.
I would just say that we really all need to come together. We need parents, BCPSS as staff, community members to all work together to really figure out ways we can support our families as we keep them safe and out of harm's way, not in school buildings, while we support the district in making certain their safety measures and protocols are complete and executed properly. And just want to say that it's been really great to work with parents to figure out how we can better support. The last idea someone came up with was parents and maybe the BTU collaborating on a talk back where we can just kind of be there for parents to ask us about technical things. Because parents are saying that there's not enough time necessarily to ask the educator that during class or during office hours. So they just want a session where they can just ask stuff like, how do I turn in an assignment? What happens if I can't get it in? Just random stuff like that. And also, I just want to give a big shout out and thank you to my members for speaking up. And now I know it's been really, as I said earlier, we have a culture of fear and retaliation in our school system. So any of my members that you see speaking out, please also understand that they may be putting their job at risk, or whatever comfort zone that they may be in the district, which is far and few in between. So please support them as they speak out. Please don't attack them as they speak out. Because remember, as I always say, we are the people that we trust, that you trust with your children, probably more time than you have them.
Mm-hmm.
Madam President Brown of the BTU, thank you so much. It is always an honor for you to be on our show, for you to always speak honestly and speak truth to power, not only for your members, but also for the young people who are in the care of our educators and for those that support the classroom throughout the district. Thank you so much for joining us. Tyrone, I was going to invite people to your house, but I figure you do that better than I do.
Oh, well, I think y'all come. Come Thursday at 5 o'clock. We are here, although the city is being shut down tomorrow. We will still be here on Thursday. So definitely join us on Thursday. Where most likely we will continue on a bit with this conversation, what's going on and some other things. Of course, thank you, President Brown, again for answering the call. You know, just y'all, I'm telling y'all, like, you know, this lady, I'm not just saying it because, you know, love her and all of it. The lady got a busy schedule, and we really appreciate people taking time out to be here. You know, seriously addressing some, you know, serious questions and issues. We have a lot of regulars now, people who come here strictly for information. And when you have someone on from the district or other places that give you half information or parts information, you know what I'm saying? It's a little, you know, confusing and annoying. But then to bring someone else on that's in the know and can answer and fill in some of those loopholes that our parents have, that our parents had, it's amazing. And I really appreciate you for doing it, as well as people have also commented that and like that. So I really appreciate you for taking time out for being here. And for doing all that you're doing. I believe that this is the example that needed to be set when you stop and put an end to some of these people and systems and things that's been in place for so damn long. And now you've been president for not even that long yet. And you can see the difference in membership and how people are talking about you and talking about what's going on. And you'll be there longer because you're doing the damn thing. Thank you.
Thank y'all.
All right, we're gonna say one more point I had to make, Tyrone, and I forgot what it was. Join us Thursday, Tyrone's house.
I got locked out of Tyrone's house last week. I couldn't get in.
Oh, okay. Tyrone got locked out of his own house. Join us anyway this Thursday, because you don't want me to host. Dina, shout out. Oh, I know what I wanted to say, Tyrone. Shout out to everybody that continues to join the program at 5 o'clock, that continues to share on multiple platforms. We really thank you and appreciate you, Yaji, and all of you all that are becoming regular commentators and people that are putting in questions. Thank you so much. Please continue to spread this information. It's just what we need. We're blessed to have folks like Madam President Brown to join us. That's it. We're over time, Tyrone. It's time to go.
Yeah, rock deuces.